Good morning, everyone. Let us talk about some issues that are related to our lesson for today, which is the global demography. So first is the global population. We all know that our global population is quickly increasing, far surpassing our planet's ability to maintain it given existing habits. The continuous rising of our global population linked to a variety of detrimental or tending to cause harm related to three another issues: environmental, gender inequality, and humanitarian issues. To easily understand the topic, we write a quotation to best describe and explain the main points of every issue and how they are related. First is the global population. Let us make this world a better place, not a crowded one. In humanitarian issues, rapid population growth is a challenge multiplier. In environmental issues, population increases, Earth's resources deplete more rapidly. And lastly, in gender inequality issues, women are denied opportunities like education because of their gender, so their fertility rate tends to be higher. Why did I say those quotations? Come on and let's discuss it. According to United States Census Bureau on January 2023, the Earth's current population is almost 7.6 billion people, and it's expanding. It is expected to surpass 8 billion people by 2025, 9 billion by 2040, and 11 billion by 2100. The first question is, how global population can cause to the environmental issue? The interconnected problems of population growth and environmental issues seem overwhelming. More people require more resources, which means that as the population increases, the Earth's resources deplete more rapidly. The result of this depletion is deforestation and loss of biodiversity as humans strip the resources to accommodate rising population numbers. The use of resources and the impact of environmental issues are not equal around the globe. People in developed countries require substantially more resources to maintain their lifestyles compared with people in developing countries. For example, the United States, which contains 5% of the world's population, currently produces a full 25% of carbon dioxide emissions. People in developing countries tend to feel the impacts of environmental problems more acutely, especially if they live in coastal areas directly affected by sea level rise and extreme weather events that accompany climate change. The most vulnerable population also experience decreased access to clean water, increased exposure to air pollution, and diseases like in the country of India and Iraq, which may result from decreased biodiversity and may feel the impact more immediately as local resources including plants and animals deplete, according to Melissa Mayer 2023. To elaborate this matter and give more examples, here is Cadet Asuncion and Cadet Gala.
Here are 5 examples that global population can affect to our environment. First, air pollution. One of the biggest environmental problems today in outdoor air pollution. Data from the World Health Organization show that as estimated 4.2 to 7 million people die from air pollution worldwide every year, and that 9 of the 10 people breathe air that contains high level of pollutants. In Africa, 250,000 people die as a result of outdoor air pollution in 2017, up from 100,064 in 1990. According to UNICEF, cause of air pollution mostly comes from industrial sources and motor vehicles, as well as emission from burning biomass and poor air quality due to dust storm. Second, overfishing. Over 3 billion people around the world rely on fish as their primary source of protein. About 12% of the world release of fishers in some form or other, with 90%. This being small-scale fishermen. Think a small crew in a boat, not a ship, using small nets or even rods and reels, and can rules not too different from the kind of probability use of the 18 million fishermen in the world. 90% of them fall under the litter category. And number 3, the last, fast fashion and textile. Was the global demand of fashion and clothing has risen at the expected rates. The fashion industry now accounts from 10% of global carbon emission, becoming one of the biggest environmental problems of our time. Fashion alone produce more greenhouse gas emission than both the aviation and shipping sectors combined, and nearly 20% of global wastewater, or around 93 billion cubic meters, from textile, dying according to the UN Environment Program.
Number 4, biodiversity. Lost the past 50 years have seen a rapid group of human consumption, population, global trade, and urbanization, resulting in humanity using more of the Earth's resources than it can replenish naturally. A recent WWF report found that the population size of mammals, fish or birds, reptiles, and amphibians have experienced a decline of an average 68% between 1970 and 2016. The report attributes this biodiversity loss to a variety of factors, but mainly land use change, particularly the conversion of habitats like forest, grassland, and mangroves into agricultural system. Animals such as pangolins and shark and seahorse are significantly affected by the illegal wildlife trade, and pangolins are critically endangered because of it. 5. Food waste. A third of the food intended for human consumption, around 1.3 billion tons, is wasted or lost. This is enough to feed 3 billion people. Food waste and loss accounts for a third of greenhouse gas emission annually. If it was a country, food waste would be the third highest emitter of greenhouse gases, behind China and the US food waste. And loss occurs a different stage in developing and developed country. In developing country, 40% of the food waste occurs at the post-harvest and processing level, while in developed countries, 40% of food waste occurs at the retail and consumer levels.
Second point is how global population related to humanitarian issue. According to Population Media Center in 2020, the global population grows by over 220,000 individuals every day. This rampant growth is a humanitarian crisis that hurts people on many levels. In Niger, for example, the current population of around 24 million is projected to grow to over 164 million in just 80 years. On an individual level, millions of women around the world are currently unable to attain reproductive autonomy. When women cannot determine whether and when to have children or how many to have, their quality of life and their economic prospects suffer. Population growth is also a humanitarian crisis in terms of availability of natural resources. Every person deserves clean air, water, healthy food, and space to comfortably live. As more people are added to the planet and demand grows for limited resources, other problems only intensify, negatively impacting issues like hunger, diseases, water scarcity, and poverty, and contributing to increased socio-political instability. As the Population Institute explained in February 2023, in effect, rapid population growth is a challenge multiplier, and for many developing countries, the challenges are formidable. To more information about humanitarian issue, here is Cadet Mandawe.
So, thank you, Cadet Neneng. So, here's the topic about or connected to the population growth. What is humanitarian crisis? First, let's get on the same page with one key definition. The United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, or OCHA, January 2, 2023, define a humanitarian crisis as a regular event or a series of events that are threatening in terms of health, safety, or well-being of a one community or even a large group of people. Many humanitarian crises today involve some degrees of international conflict. But as we see in these years, that's one possible factor of many. Here are some examples that will be given by the latest issues in 2023. First example, Horn of Africa. The current crisis in the Horn of Africa has left 36.4 million people across Ethiopia, Kenya, and Somalia in need of urgent humanitarian assistance. 5 consecutive failed rains has left the region facing the worst droughts in 4 decades. An extreme level of hunger. The next rainy season beginning in March of 2023 is also expected to be failed. So, how did it get so bad? The Horn of Africa crisis is an example of what happened when early warning signs are ignored or ongoing emergencies remain unresolved. For many in this region, the large droughts are just one several issues that taken together have delegated crops, livestock, income, and food security for decades. Somalia has faced a cycle of crises that touches on violence, displacements, hunger, and climate change. A lack of response from the international community has left the current emergency across these 3 countries underfunded. So, for the second example is Democratic Republic of Congo. Increased violence in 2002 has added to a series of emergencies that make up a decade-long humanitarian crisis. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, 27 million Congos required humanitarian assistance, nearly a 38% increase in need compared from the 2021. So, how did it get so bad? Or why it's so bad on this issue? Like other countries on this list, the recent history of the Democratic Republic of Congo has seen oppression, neglect, and unrest. The country suffered especially under Belgian colonial rules in 19th century and was set up for a failure when it gained independence in 1960. Even with the peace official declared, violence has not gone away. Outbreak of armed conflict have been triggered by the lands, natural resources, and ethnic dispute. So, for the last example is Yemen. The Yemeni civil war has, according to one of UN estimate, has left nearly 80% of the country's population in need of some form of assistance and has damaged food system, local infrastructure, and economy and education. Prospect 29.6 million people requires humanitarian assistance. 12.9 million are children. So half of it is children. Especially as we know that children are the next generation of the nation or country. But on this country, Yemen has 12.9 million children are affected by humanitarian crisis. So how did it get so bad? Violence in Yemen estimated sharply in March 2015. Escalating unemployment and food security, also insecurity for civilians. The destabilizing effect on this conflict has also made it that much harder to get humanitarian aids into the country. So, as we can imagine that this country has so many violence every places because of the civil war. So, the aids from the other countries or UN are hardly proceed to the location due to the violence of the issues of civil war. So many places on the Yemens are maybe hijacked or barricaded by the other civilians or people. So that's it for the humanitarian crisis. Thank you.
Another example, the increased demand for foods, water, housing, energy, healthcare, transportation, and more. And all that consumption contributes to ecological degradation, increased conflict, and a higher risk of large-scale disaster like pandemic.
In terms of gender inequality, according to Cody Peluso, a demographer in United States on March 2023, said that when women are denied opportunities like education and jobs because of their gender, their fertility rate tends to be higher than the global average of 2.4 births per woman. High fertility rates are a major cause of population growth. And in order to explain this more, Cadet Vicente will have to say something.
Hi, I'm Cadet Vicente. My report is all about gender inequality. The nation with the highest fertility rates are located in sub-Saharan Africa and included Niger, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Mali, and Chad. Among other countries in the region, gender inequality in education also persists in sub-Saharan Africa. As as well as in some areas of Middle East and Southeast Asia, gender inequality in general, including within the educational system, also exists in the United States. Gender inequality exists around the world. Inequality for women does not exist in only one place. At one time, it exists everywhere, all the time. In some places, girls are not only denied educational opportunities, but are actively prevented from attending school by kidnapping and intimidation. In 2021, hundreds of girls were kidnapped from their boarding school in Nigeria at gunpoint. Poverty can also prevent girls from attending school. They are often needed to help with the chores at home, to work for younger siblings, or to earn money for the family. Of course, widespread poverty also means that many governments are unable to adequately fund public education for both boys and girls. Since inception, Population Media Center has been working on changing behaviors around child abduction, taboos around menstruation, some form of which is seen globally, also cause many girls across the world to miss school or even drop out completely when they have their first menstrual period. That's why Population Media Center partners with organizations like UNICEF to break taboos. Thank you.
Thank you, Cadet. Overall, it may be said that the rise of our global population is very alarming on our environment, culture, and even to our economy. Our resources are decreasing. Land masses are being filled up by infrastructures such as houses. Infectious diseases start to spread easily. There will be rise of illiterate people due to poverty, and lastly, the worst scenario is that the economy of overpopulated countries will fall. And to avoid those things, let us make this world a better place, not a crowded one. Thank you for listening. We are the Group 2 and we hope that you learned something. Good day.